Hey guys, this is Dardamos with Dardamos Dominions. I'm here with Gazlov again. Hi Gazlov.
How's it going?
Missourian, how are you doing, dude?
Good.
Novell, how are you doing?
I'm doing just fine.
Now, what's interesting is this is Clash of the Titans, and this is not the previous game that we were playing with Dance of the Monkeys. And yet, there are not that many attacks going on. Gazlov, what's going on in the world right now?
Well, I think we've kind of run out of land, and so everyone is now trying to figure out who they need to invade.
Do you believe that this is because they ran out of land or that they're getting ready for war?
Well, both. I mean, for sure.
Missourian, do you usually finish expansion before your first war?
Yeah, I definitely try to finish expansion. I don't play a lot of rush heavy nations. I usually play the rush targets. So I'm trying to kind of shore things up and wait for early mid game.
Novell, how about you? Do you usually finish expansion or do you go to your first war?
Oh, dude, there's no choice for me. I never get to finish expansion. I'm always attacked. It's just, like if there's a game where someone lets me finish expansion, they've thrown that game away. I'm probably about to win.
Gotcha. Okay, so what's really interesting is that the Indies have started their counter attack at this point, and it looks like they have almost as many attacks as the players did. We had 3 messages. The first from Arco. Okay, Arco, do you want to explain this?
A surfeit of pachyderms. I think I attacked a province with something like 14 elephants or something like that.
Okay, so you ended up winning that one, correct?
I believe so.
Okay,
That would be an accurate description of that battle then. 14 elephants is like atrocious amounts to expand into.
Yep.
I saw you do something like 20 Wind Riders, so we jumped over the fight really quickly, which is kind of a shame. Oh my goodness. Okay, Schumann has graced us with another essay. Gatzloff, do you want to read that TLDR, which I really am appreciative for?
Yeah, not so lucky with gems, new trade with Arco, contact with Pan that might join him Averni, or face Ubar due to timing power, which is good for me too.
What I really like about doing this omniscience is that he can give me this huge list and that somebody else can, because Schumann's on, he's located in Europe, and so he doesn't hit the timing really well for the videos. And so, you can sit here and read his justification behind it. But the TLDRs are really, really nice. And talking about the TLDR, he's looking for going in 2 different directions. Gazlov, was he talking with you? You said you and he were talking about a target, correct?
Yeah, we were both going against Maverni together.
Okay, now, did you have any doubt that he would go in another direction, or was he telling you 100%?
I didn't have any doubt, mostly because I would have preferred he did.
Okay, so
I wanted Maverni all to myself.
So, were you trying to talk him out of it?
Not really. I just wanted Maverni out of the game, to be honest. Maverni is a huge danger to my nation, and so I needed him to die.
Yeah, Maverni is problematic as it gets later into the game.
It's really interesting because but late game they lose their boars kind of fall off really late game, and so it's kind of an interesting. It's where their mid game is, in my opinion, is the strongest. If they can get a solid mid game, their late game just becomes overwhelming.
Well, they get to the late game very fast because they have very cheap researchers, and then astral ones are great to have. I mean, you communing those up, and you have incredibly powerful soul slays, and a lot of them. That solves problems, and they're very strong, in my opinion.
Yeah, recruitable Astral Ones is always going to be one of the most powerful mage sources in this game.
Okay, so let's move on to so where's Grippo when we need him? Dione actually got old. I'm assuming he got there naturally. How does that work? Missouri, and how does a Dione get the old age trait?
That is a good question. Presumably he got decayed.
Well, let me give you guys a little because I'm one of the people that kind of deals with age a lot, playing pop kill and using decay and sudden effects like that. So every unit starts at a base age and then rolls to add years to it when recruited. Because of that, there's always this kind of average age, which is about 75% of the max age that units come out at. But you can roll incredibly poorly or incredibly well and end up at the exact starting age or past your max age, as in you are literally recruited old. A lot of mages are like that because they have a penalty on them that gives additional age post recruitment. That's why when you look at them in the unit recruitment screen, they have old age already. Dione do not. They're not like that. But they can roll poorly enough, and this one definitively looks like it's almost had, and maybe the one he's referring to has also rolled incredibly high. So
Oh,
like right
wow.
there. They start at 850, their max age is 1000. There's a roll that normally puts them somewhere at around 900. So in the game, they won't hit old age, but he's rolled pretty poorly on both of those. So a decay effect will quickly push them over their max age, which will give them the old age penalty, which is pretty big. Or conversely, just a really bad winner might do it too, where they'll start getting age penalties. It depends on his skills.
I think fire magic also increases your age, but I don't know if it increases it here or after you've actually recruited the union.
It does not increase your age, it decreases your maximum age.
Okay.
Yeah, death, nature, and fire are the ones that affect age when it comes to recruitment. Fire makes you, fire makes you have a shorter max age. Your lifespan is shorter. Death extends your lifespan.
Okay. Okay, so he just rolled really unlucky, even with this one, interestingly enough, unless this is the one that he's actually talking about. Now, he came across these Azure mages. How scary are these things, Maz? How scary are Azure mages?
These ones are not the ones to worry about. It's the cloud mages that are a problem if you don't have shock resist, right?
Yeah, they will shoot the Air 2 evocation at you, which is armor negating damage, and they have additional precision, so they're pretty much likely to hit with that lightning bolt. These
Or it's
can
orb
be
lightning, yeah.
or orb lightning. These can be something to worry about because once again, in the base game, they're not something that you really truly have to bother with. They'll hit you with numbness or desiccation, something that'll just fatigue you out. But if you add the magic mods into the game, all of a sudden they might hit you with frozen heart, which can kill something of yours, or they might use those gems to start making water elementals.
Yeah, I might need to. It might need to get some words to Lucid, because these guys should be. This should absolutely be casting wellies. I mean, a water elemental, I think, might be able to do bad things to a Dione.
Depends. Dionis have pretty high protection, but a full size water elemental, after he's taken penalties to his defense, have a fair chance of killing him. Especially if it manages to successfully get the head hit, because it is taller than the Dione.
Oh man, if it hits a head, he's dead. It's 20.
Yeah, 'cause
it's 20 piercing.
No, it's blunt. It's bludgeoning.
Well, yeah, no, it's
Water
sorry, armor. It's
piercing.
yeah, AP. Sorry, not you're right.
Oh,
not,
yeah,
not
Yeah. Now, what is the research they start with? Is it random? Does he maybe not have access to Conjuration 5?
Most mages in the base game outside of Thrones are somewhere between research school levels 3 or 4. So normally they won't make full size water elementals. But once again, the magic mods open that up so that they can be 5, 6, and 7 as well. 6 and
Oh, I
7, of
didn't know
course,
you
is
saw
probably
that.
what you're going to see. Yeah, you're going to
Oh,
see
I
on the
didn't know
throne.
that either. So which
Yeah, in
mods
the
are we
base
talking
game,
about?
magic enhanced. I don't think improved casting AI does it, but I've
Okay, that's
heard
the
that
only
it
one I'm
might.
familiar with.
This is the one that should
Yeah.
be improved. The improved AI, and him casting desiccation seems flippin' terrible.
Well,
Like, I've
no,
got
desiccation
those.
is really good against a super combatant. Desiccation is one of the best spells you can throw at a super combatant. Desiccation is ticking rolled fatigue damage.
Yeah,
But
it's
isn't it MR an MR check?
Yes, it is. But like 18 MR is something that you can, reasonably fire at. You can fire that at a pretender pretty often as well. Most pretenders come in with 18 MR.
yeah. I think I'd rather have something like Frozen Heart or a Welly, rather than a -7 to my roll, because
Right. Well,
that's nasty.
at the same time, just recall though that it may not have school access just because of that. As far as
That's
like
true.
what it could cast at school access 3 or 4, that's pretty reasonable and not actually all that bad.
Okay, so oh wow,
Hit the throne, it seems.
200 units. Gazlov, were you worried about this fight at all?
No, I didn't even ping it.
Why not? What is so like
Well, it's because I have magic weapons, and it was those ethereal guys, the phantasms,
okay?
and then a bunch of monkeys. So it was just like I wasn't too worried.
The troops are easy to route. The mages could be problematic because those mages can roll really high in one element, but it doesn't seem like any of them did.
Yeah, there also don't seem to be casting anything really scary. What's interesting is I'm not seeing. Okay, this guy. Oh, he could do air elementals, and I mean he could do full size air elementals too, which is interesting that he decided not to cast it. I don't know what's going on because I'm not seeing any elementals if things changed or if the base game changed maybe.
Well,
But either way,
improved casting AI isn't going to really do much for the indie mages. That's not the mod that you pick for that.
okay. Okay, so you've taken the throne. Oh no, this is the one. Okay, so you were literally doing it this turn. This is the one that you were attacking. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I did this. How scary is this for you?
This you could get unlucky, but I wasn't too worried. I mean, attack rear just works, and with the critical mass, even if they come at me, I'm likely to rout them.
Okay, there's still a commander. Oh, that commander right there is saving things, but now he's dead.
Yeah. So he got lucky in that the elephants weren't directly forward to where the commanders were. They were off to the side. And that saved him a lot of, complication.
What could have gone wrong, dude? Do you want to go over what could have gone wrong, Mass?
Well, they just get caught on those elephants, and it gets pretty dicey at that point. The size difference, I mean, yeah, they'll get trampled, but they have high defense, and there's enough of them that they're going to fight back pretty effectively. But I actually did ping this, so I came in prepared. I knew where stuff was positioned, and I really just brought I brought this number more as an insurance policy, just because, like, you can see it here. It got close with the commander. I didn't want to. Another reason I brought in this many was to ensure I got the commander. I need my Wind Riders intact, so I want to get this without losses. But I'm not really worried about winning it.
This guy has been trampled 7 times, and he's still living.
That's because they have over 15 defense. Over 15 defense can give you a pretty good insurance against being trampled.
Yeah, and with this many, they're not going to get harassed very much. So
I'm really excited because this is a good example of high defense versus elephants. And if you see every time that he was trampled, what's funny, it doesn't show the roll, but he's rolling his defense and he's evading the attack, but he still takes 1 point of damage. And then you can see the time that he doesn't evade, he takes 3. So kind of an interesting thing that a good defense against elephants is high defense.
Or being ethereal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, if they trample somebody with mirror image, does it pop mirror image every time? Gaz, you know this. Guess okay, well, okay. So that's one thing that's kind of scary, I guess. Okay, once again, Therados is slowly expanding. This is really interesting. There's all these troops, and there's nothing. Nobody died. What went on here, Nobel?
Okay, so Therados, of course, expands via Ghost. They were fighting Azure Initiates underwater, so they might have ran across water elementals, but water elementals are really bad against Ghost, so it doesn't actually matter. So what happens here is that every time one of these attacks happen, it doesn't matter what, they have to have a 75% chance of actually going through because none of these things have magic weapons. And even then, your ghosts have shields, so they can get the shield bonus to the hit, the protection, which allows their 10 HP to live a little bit longer than you might think. The hoplites are excellent repellers. Most things underwater have range 1 or 2 for the weapons that they're using. Some things have spears, but even then, the hoplites have a length weapon of 4. There are 4 of them in a square. You're probably going to get repelled.
Yeah, an
They
attack
have,
of 13 on top of it, which is absolutely amazing, dude.
yeah, that's because they have the 2 experience. They're normally at 11, but they're an amazing unit. It's very efficient to go up against any number of indies that don't have magical attacks as Therados and lose nothing. Like Therados has the best free spawn of all the pop kills. The problem is they have the least number. They have less to work with than even Lemuria, and Lemuria's free spawn's pretty elite.
What's interesting is like putting mass protection on these guys seems like it'd be amazing.
Yeah, except for the vulnerability to fire really punishes them.
Where's the? I don't see a fireball. Oh, you mean from the natural
From mass
protection?
protection, yes.
Ah,
One of the
okay.
ways that you kill ghosts really easily is fire elementals. So mass protection only exacerbates that problem.
With it, with the fire elementals, the size 4 or the length 4 would counteract that, right?
The fire elemental flame strike is an AoE attack. You cannot repel it. It is also a
Oh,
magic
okay.
attack, so
I
they
was
cannot
thinking
ethereal it.
I was thinking the flame aura
Oh, the
that.
flame shield.
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah, they don't really care about the flame shield, but the flame attack that comes from fire elementals is pretty punishing for ghosts.
Oh, okay. So they. Oh wow, that was really close too. It looks like the Independents attacked a Pangean province and a Helheim province. And this is kind of interesting. One of the. I know this is probably not in relation to the game, but you get monoed in your defense as the Omniscience. That was awesome. Okay, sorry. I wanted to watch that because we don't ever get attacked at all, and that was absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so luckily we went through things really quickly. It feels like there's a calm before the storm, and I kind of want to go over where everybody is in relationship to each other. Who do you think is currently winning, Gaslov?
I think it's Pangea. I mean, they've definitely expanded the best. Kind of is, it's par for Pangea. They've got the best income, and they're probably looking for a war target right now.
Now they don't have access to many wood provinces. Do you think that that's going to come back to haunt them or to cripple them in any way, shape, or form?
Well, it's definitely bad for him, and that's why you'd kind of expect him to go after Arco of anybody. Like if I were Arco, I would be really worried about Pangea right now.
Speaking of Arco, how are you feeling at this point in the game? Were you worried? Did you feel like your expansion was, because I know that you said your goal was to get to late game. Are you still on par with that?
Yeah, I'm still looking to kind of keep a low profile during the early wars. I did not have a great expansion. I think I said in an earlier episode, I actually settled my borders via diplomatic means. I had some wonky expansion I had to deal with in terms of expansion borders. But what I'm doing now is backfilling the provinces I've negotiated for and trying to think how am I going to avoid getting rushed and who am I going to coalition with or just playing vulture. So I don't really have anything great to just flat out attack with 1v1 until later in the game. So yeah, I'm just kind of backfilling these indie provinces and waiting for my god to come online.
Now, what's
Yeah.
interesting is that these two, the war dogs went on your border. Were you casting spells, dude?
That wasn't me.
That's it. That's what they always say. Are you going to come in and take these two provinces?
I can't. I'm taking whatever we can negotiate it for. All of these provinces are already spoken for. The one by Helheim, I believe that's Helheim's. And the one with the border with Ubar, I don't remember
This was
where
Pan's.
that fell. I think Ubar negotiated for that one, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm
So-
really happy to finally get this elephant one. That was a big income, if I recall.
I would imagine
And,
with 11 income. I'm sorry, 11 elephants.
Yeah,
100.
108 income. So that I was really counting on that one for a lot of my income. And then the barbs I've been gearing up for a while. I pinged that already. Yeah,
There-
70 barbs. There's a lot of barbs in there.
34 income, and you have to kill 70 barbs. I mean,
Yeah.
is that ever worth it?
I think for me, because I'm so far, well, yeah, I'm pretty far behind on provinces, and I pretty much need every scrap of gold I can get. And I mean, it's 2 away from my cap. Just a bit on principle. I feel I need it. Um, I'm desperate enough for land and gold that, yeah, I've got Wind Riders. I'm gonna grab it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I look at that and I think that there's a amazing sight
Oh.
under there because there's no reason for 70 bards to be protecting 34 income.
Of note, this was the 3-point throne here that he
Yeah.
took with no losses.
Yeah.
The throne of the
The sun.
sun.
Oh, wow, that's amazing for him.
Yeah.
That is ridiculous.
Well, but it has growth 1.
That doesn't matter.
Okay, what do you mean by that, Novell? Do you want to go into depth with that?
Okay. So first off, Theranos isn't heat, Theranos isn't order, and Theranos isn't growth. But that doesn't matter. Dom spread 5, 3 fire gems, and
Ouch.
5 fire resistance on a nature nation is ridiculous. Like, let me explain to you that problem with mass protection that we brought up earlier just got incredibly decreased because all of its sacreds now ignore the penalty from Barkskin, or Temper Flesh, which a lot of his sorry, not a penalty, but it gets added onto the Temper Flesh bonus, which a lot of his mages will be using. We have just some of the most amazing things because all of its mages are sacred. The 3 fire gems are spectacular because the only way that this nation gets access to fire is by 25% randoming it or by getting it on one of its land mages that it needs a fort on land to build and bringing that mage underwater to search, or Voice of Tiamat looking for it. So it's pretty difficult, but they can do some amazing things with fire, including both evocation and the ability to forge with it. And in the case of Theranos, they can get up to construction 6 incredibly quickly. And those 3 fire gems on in combination with a hammer is basically a lantern every turn.
If he rushes construction 6, he's getting 5 or no. It's because you can bring it down to two gems, right? They're not all
Yeah.
much. You can bring it down to 1, so he can get
Yeah. There's
2
a
gems.
forge bonus on the land mages, and then you give the land mage a hammer.
So that's 2.5 lanterns a turn just from those 2 sites.
Yeah,
He's
Theranos
also got
just
the
goes-
sunrise here. Yeah, it's really good for him.
Yeah,
do you
they
think that
just go
he's in a
nuts with it.
position to win here?
With throne placement, yes. Just on throne placement alone, because he has 1 in his pond and then 2 on the edge of his pond, and
5,
then 1
7.
that's 2 off from the pond.
Where's the one that's 2 off on? I'm not seeing
It's
it.
over there in Helheim's territory.
Okay, so this one right here is the other one that you're looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
That's
interesting. I agree with you. I think that he is in a good position to win this. How's his expansion looking for a turn 11 expand?
Theranos' expansions are kind of wonky. You really don't care about how much land you get because you're not going to get a lot of income to begin with as Theranos. You care about not losing things as you expand. And since he just took a throne with no losses, I'd call his expansion exceptional.
Okay, no, Novell. From an underwater Theranos, how do you do diplomacy? Do you try to make friends, or what do you do?
My general opinion as Theranos is find the person least likely to have magic weapons, and that's not very likely, but in this case, it's probably Machaka. Machaka's probably the nation that's least likely to have magic weapons, and you just bum rush them while trying to find some type of foothold near people that might have magic weapons. So Pangea, for instance, is just off the table. You know that fighting Pangea is going to be inefficient. You're both nature nations, and they have the access to magic weapons. Um, Not to mention that they also have access to just a lot of troops. So, like I said, right here, Machaka has to build that. It comes with a magic weapon, but
Yeah.
that is a really inefficient troop.
It looks like that's what he's got a handful of them now. So that could be scary for him. What
Right.
magic are you looking for when you're going with Theranos?
I would go Conjuration because just off Conjuration and your mages, you can put up Howl. You can bring in full-sized Earth Elementals, full-sized Water Elementals, and combine that with Ghost, and you have a pretty punishing just front line that something has to break through. Also, going up Conjuration will allow you to use Voice of Tiamat to start your site searching.
Oh, that's right.
It-
Water, Voice of Tiamat. How worth it is how worth it is Voice of Tiamat?
It's probably the only site searching spell or ritual that's worth casting.
Excellent. Geslov, one of the things I was looking at previously was a message from Helheim, and he talks about how he changed something because something was expected. A was expected, and so he decided to do B, even though A may be more effective. Now, Geslov, you usually go the same route when you're researching, correct?
It really depends on what I need at the time. Like, what am I going up against? And that really changes my priorities.
Now, when the player that you're playing against knows your strategies, do you take that into effect for your optimal spells?
That's a hard one because it doesn't matter if they know what I'm going to do. I still try to do what's best against their nation.
Excellent. Missouri, I got a couple more wrapping up questions that I just random stuff. What do you think has changed in you the most in the last couple games that you've since you've played this one? What has this game taught you anything about Arco?
About Arco,
Specifically with the expand.
with the expand, I feel like I was led astray from some outlier testing that I did. I was a bit more conservative with my expansion parties than I needed to be. That said, I really did have some tough ones that needed doubling up here. As far as expansion goes, honestly, except for that, Wind Riders are about as easy as it gets. I mean, recruit a little pile of them, attack rear, you're done.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The last thing that I had on my list of questions to ask, actually for you, Novell. I think that the first game that we played together was that Blitz, and that was your first multiplayer game, correct?
Yeah, that was way, way long ago. I'd been a single player for most of my career in Dominions, including the previous Dominion games. I think I have over 5,000 hours in this game without playing multiplayer very much.
Now, going into that, what do you think the single biggest change that you've done since going from single player to multiplayer? What do you think the biggest difference was?
Well, for me, I really enjoyed this game and became kind of addicted to it just as something I would do in my free time, my downtime, to experiment with and just try it as a big grand strategy game. I was always very happy with kind of creating my own campaigns and using mods and testing and putting it on max difficulty and just, that single player experience that you can kind of entertain yourself with. Uh, the very first time I launched into a multiplayer game, I realized quite quickly that while I had tuned my ability to play pop kill to being more than capable for like wiping things, because I was always playing on indie strength 10 and always had max thrones, level 3 thrones. It was always tuned towards fighting things that were really hard to deal with. I won my first war really quickly and then realized I had become the largest threat on the map within all of 10 turns. And I looked around and everyone coalitioned against me and proceeded to bombard me from all directions. And that was my first experience with that. So I fumbled hard. I did not know what to do about fighting that many people at once, even when I had built up all of this playtime and practice with dealing with impossible odds, and I lost just because I had no understanding of diplomacy.
That's very fair enough, dude. What I'm really excited about is that we're constantly getting new players that have only played single player and they're working their way into the multiplayer scene, and how the meta is shifting with every single player that joins. I think when I started off, I mean, Titans were, now they gotten a couple buffs, but Titans were unheard of. There were people that were saying that if you don't take an Awake Expander, you're going to lose guaranteed, and how the game has changed in the 2 years I think it's been since I started playing. I started like, I think November 2 years ago or something like that. So just it's kind of interesting to see how the game has changed. Gazlov, when did you start playing this game?
I started around the end of Dominions 4, and I played a lot of Vanheim then too. But my big complaint was, at the time, I didn't think Dominions 4 was a very good game. I challenged people to prove to me that Ashdod wasn't broken. I would play as Ashdod and crush with them, because I really felt that Ashdod's, back then you could have your hard skin regeneration without being awake. There was just a lot of mechanically
Shenanigans
that kind of made Dominions 4 not a very good game. I feel like Dominions 5 is a vast improvement. But yeah, I've been playing since Dominions 5 has come out.
Matt, what is your what is the biggest thing that you've seen changing since when you first started?
Well, first of all, I have by far the least multiplayer experience, but I actually started with Dominions 3, but only with the demo, and then picked it up again with Dominions 4. And the single player, just as a single player game, even, I pretty much just did Dominions 4 single player. I agree with Gazlov. It's just a vastly superior game, and that's even before touching on the multiplayer aspects. I'll say also, I played Arco exclusively at first, and to mirror some other experiences, I learned what happens when you overexpand. One time when I played my first game with Wind Riders, and immediately got rushed down. And then in another one, I did not understand, because what Novell was talking about as far as how the AI plays is just big piles of trash. I did not understand how hard and fast a human nation can rush. And in this particular game I'm talking about, I played MA Arco, very slow, ponderous build that I had, because I was taking my time. And I just got rushed down so hard. And I remember being blown away by that. So those are the two opening extremes that I experienced that were kind of some of my first multiplayer learning experiences.
Yeah, I definitely inflicted that exact thing to someone else. I loaded in as Aramor with God, I can't even remember. I think it was fortitude, quickness, just something absolutely unreasonable, because I just brought it to deal with like massive chunks of indies that can be like 30 elephants in the province at difficulty 10. And I attacked someone in year 1, I think on turn 6, and took their capital by like turn 11. And I did not realize how like flimsy human players were in comparison to the max difficulty AI. And it quickly got me punished because of it. It's like it was incredibly easy to roll through somebody, because no one had seen like an Aramor with that heavy of a bless. Most people don't play Aramor like I play Aramor.
But then they get creative.
Well, yeah. Then they started
That's what I
realizing, like,
love. You get
quickly
three guys
figured
in
it
a
out.
room, and we start figuring out what the perfect build is to send some single warrior with no magic skill to take out an entire army. I think that's what I love about Dominions is how it's always shifting and how you can have that amazing build and yet then somebody comes up with a solution. Novell, do you think that there is a nation that can win no matter what?
Um, it depends on what you mean by like no matter what. Uh, if you're talking about is there a nation that you feel you can bring into any level of skill and it stands the most chance of winning?
Yes.
Yeah, there are definitely some nations that are like that. Like there are definitely some nations that stand out as being the best in the entire game. And no matter at what skilled level, they just have the power to carry through. The one that I would name instantaneously is Nazca. Nazca has a pretty fair chance. It doesn't matter if we got the best Dominion players in the world together and set them all together on one map. Whoever's playing Nazca is probably going to win that game.
Okay, I'm
Nazca
kind
is
of curious.
incredibly powerful.
We're gonna end on this. Gaslov and Maz, do you agree that Nazca is one of those top tiers that will always win, or that will more likely win at any level?
Nazca's pretty
Nazca,
strong.
Scaleria, and Lemuria are the three nations that you have to coalition against immediately. They can be
Maz,
beat, but you have to do that.
Maz, what's your thought?
Oh, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, Gaslov, what's your thought? I thought it was sorry.
Oh,
Yeah, I would say Nazca is definitely a high threat nation. Personally, I still feel like Ashdod is a very top tier nation. They've got a lot going for it. They can take drain, okay, since they have these big mages, these great researchers. Yeah, MA is full of all sorts of crap.
Well, we'll definitely have to do a tier list with we'll get about as many people as we can get together, and we'll sit there and argue over a tier list at some point because that would be absolutely hilarious for me. So I hope that we can do that somewhere in the future. Thanks, guys, for joining. Gaslov, I appreciate you joining today.
Anytime.
Missourian, thank you for joining up with us.
thank you very much.
Novell, it's an honor to have you.
Yeah, man, always happy to help.
Okay, guys, then I will see you in the next one. Have a good one.